See, this is why I'm glad we don't f*** around with point scores here. Because what would I do about this? I mean, how do you have a Garfield game without the walking egg? Like, what's the protocol for that one, internet? How many decimal points do you knock off for that? I guess it's just 7.9, I guess. Everything's a 7.9 on the internet. It's Garfield caught in the act for the SEGA 7.9 Genesis. I guess we could split it up, right? Like a fucking cadaver. All right, hey, concept's pretty good. Looks like a solid 8.1 to me. Plays Garfield, you get sucked into the TV. You have to platform through common settings from movies and TV shows. So, there's a horror level and a cemetery. There's a prehistoric level with sweltering jungles. Actually, there's a really cool film noir stage, too. Everything's black and white. Garfield's wearing that hat, the one that all the detectives wear. Old people were throwing crap at you. I don't remember that from the Maltese Falcon. So it's a cool concept, and actually it reminds me of Mickey Mania in a way, putting the main character in different settings for every level. Although it'd be cooler if those settings were actually from the character's material, like Mickey Mania. But nonetheless, it works. 8.4. And that's almost an 8.5 for those of you keeping track at home, which that's a pretty good number. And numbers for the presentation, too. This thing wasn't released until 1995, which means it's got the same visual polish that defined a lot of those late 16-bit games. The music's okay, but the backgrounds in particular. Not only do they look good, but they also have a really effective use of color. It's never overbearing or obnoxiously cartoony. It's always subtle, and that highlights the gameplay instead of distracting from it. 8.9 is what I'm saying. Oh, speaking of the gameplay, though, boy, that's where Garfield's lasagna gets cold, because this game kind of plays like crap. Actually, no, it's not fair to say that, because that would seem to imply that the controls are the problem. They're not. I mean, they're not great. Sometimes they were a little unresponsive, especially when you're trying to attack, but all in all, it's okay. Garfield plays okay. Now, the real problem is the level design. I mean, when it's at its best, it's passable. At its worst, it's really annoying. The enemies are cheap, the layouts are unclear. And it's a shame, too, because it's a solid idea, and it does a great job with the presentation, but it just doesn't play well. So actually, the game's other problem might be a good thing, because at least it's short. Like, really short. There's only 5 levels, and even the levels themselves are short, which I like in most cases. Short levels, making progress, different scenery. That's what you want, baby! But if you only have a couple levels, I mean, they shouldn't be short. You're kind of missing the point, right? And also, I know the game has a reputation for being easy, but I don't know, I died a lot. Maybe it's because I was just annoyed by the levels. Maybe it's because the attacks don't always work and the enemies kept cheaping me to death. I don't know, to be honest, I have no idea. After a while, I just turned it off and started watching Garfield and Friends. I like that walking egg. Well, I like bad platformers less, though, and this is kind of a bad platformer. Actually, that's not even true. It's not a bad platformer, it's just an okay platformer. Which, honestly, I think that's even worse. At least a bad platformer never had a chance. But this one actually does a lot of good things before it hits you with its annoying level design and occasional clunkiness. It builds you up only to let you down and mess you around. And worst of all right, that's enough. It's Garfield caught in the act for the SEGA Genesis. If you go into this expecting dancing, fiesta, romancing, siesta, samba, la bamba, well, don't bother, because all you get's the ay caramba. Thanks to Chris from Jersey City, New Jersey for sending this to the show. 7.9.